Yeah, same. I wanted it against a certain look, and once we got that look, the rest was history. So I was shaking my head. I'm like, yeah, we got him. We got the look. And I got too wide in my drop, and I slipped. I was trying to push off so I can get some power. And I'm like, oh, man, please don't do this to me now.
I'm hitting the gas as hard as I can and run as fast as I can over the top because I know I got to run past that safety.
I was just like, man, forget about it. Just let me try to get the ball to him. And I just launched it.
The way he throws the ball is so effortless that, like, sometimes you're looking at it and you're like, okay, this can't be carrying that far, right? I just learned to just trust it and just keep on running, and that's what I did there, and the ball just kept carrying, and, it made the play.
Backs to throw. He slips on the turf. Gets up. Heaves it downfield. Looking for Alec Pierce. He got it! Touchdown! A bomb! 60 yards!
In my head, I thought it was just, simple in-rhythm throw. Because, the way the ball carried, like, you would have thought it was like an outfielder, like, crowed hopping to it, but he kind of just threw that thing off the back foot after slipping a little bit, and I think that just speaks to his arm talent.
That intro was Week 1 versus Houston. That was Alec Pierce and Anthony Richardson talking about what I think is a signature play of Anthony Richardson's young career, and I wanted to remind people what this young man is capable of. This is Culture Uncut. I'm your host, Jason Spears, and folks, AR5 is back. I'm excited, I'm pumped up, but I think there needs to be some conversations had about other things besides AR right now before I get into the re-entering of Anthony Richardson as a starting quarterback. I just want to give my thoughts on all that's taken place over the last 3 weeks. First of all, I think it's been a horribly handled situation. I listened to Steichen speak today, and what I don't understand, there's a couple of things. One, I don't really buy this. I think this is more of, wow, Flacco was so much worse than I thought or we thought he would ever be or play. I think that has something to do with it. So I'm at the point where I don't buy anything that comes out of that building. So I want to say that first and foremost. But secondly, why didn't Shane Steichen say this right from the rip? Like, not we're going to reinsert him back into the position or whatever, but why, when he was benched, didn't he say all this stuff? He wasn't preparing hard enough. He wasn't doing this hard enough. We wanted to see him work harder. And even more so than that, why wasn't this handled? Like, if you see a guy, you're the head coach, you're the OC, you're the QB coach, you work with these players day in, day out. If you see a young player who really he's in his second year, and he really didn't play that much in his first year, he doesn't really know how to prepare as a professional. He doesn't, you are told, but he needs to see it. He needs to understand. You have to be this is a full-time job. You have to be in here as much as possible. When you're not on the field, you got to be in the whirlpool. You got to be, getting your body right. When you're not getting your body right, you got to be watching film. And you should be watching film with the coaches, with other players. You should be this should be taught to him and told to him. And I refuse to believe that it was. Because if it was, this would have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, and we never even get to this point. See, I think the initial thing was the tap out, or maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. But again, if this is handled right all the way through, we never get to the benching. Once that happened, that gave them an excuse to bench him, so they did. Then they were like, okay, Flacco gives us the best chance to win, and I think they truly believed that. They thought he was going to go out there and play great. I didn't. I never thought he was going to play well, because when teams can prepare, it's tougher to play the position, period. I knew that they were going to go after him, and he would struggle, and he did. So now, after they've seen 2 putrid offensive performances, suddenly they're going back to AR. And now they're telling you everything, right? Now everything's on the table. Now he wants to tell everybody, well, we didn't want to talk about it before. We wanted to keep it in-house. Why would you tell it all now? Why wouldn't you tell it all to begin with? So everyone knows, the fan base, the player, the locker room, everybody. But it's been handled like a circus from day one. And again, I like Shane Steichen as a play caller. At least I did last year. I'm not sure I like him as a head coach. Because this, to me, is, again, an indictment on leadership. Like, as a leader, none of this should have gotten to the point it got to. Whether it's teammates talking to him about his preparation or the head coach. It never, there's so many guys. There's his teammates, the guys in the quarterback room, but more than that, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach that works with them every day. Like, it's all an indictment on all of them. And that's the frustrating part. All of the things that Shane Steichen said in his presser today about the things that he needed to work on could have been said from the beginning, and that's why I don't buy any of it. I don't buy any of it. I simply think they realized it was a huge mistake to play Flacco, and now they're going back to AR. That's as simple as I can make it. Now, you can argue with me all you want, but if you look at the breadcrumbs, that's what this has been this entire time. Dude taps out, right? Media shitstorm. Then they meet with AR after on Wednesday or Thursday, not on Monday. It's all been handled poorly from the beginning. Then they go to Flacco. He's our guy for the rest of the year because they thought that he was going to play well. Not because this process and all this other garbage. It wasn't any of that. Suddenly, everything. Think about the shift in mindset. First, it's patience with AR, tap out, shitstorm, benched. Then it's Flacco for the rest of the year, and then plays terrible football, and Richardson's back in. And then they tell you everything. Then they tell you the full story, quote unquote, right? I don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. I don't trust it. I don't trust anything this organization says. I simply believe they caved to the media when he tapped out, made a bigger thing out of it than it needed to be. Then they benched him and made him a scapegoat because they thought Flacco would give him a better chance to win, and the tap out gave him that opportunity. And then when they were just an abomination offensively, we'll just go back to AR and then sell this process bullshit. He needed to learn how to prepare. You're telling me he went from unprepared failure as a professional franchise quarterback to prepared success story franchise quarterback in 2 damn weeks? He's ready now? No. I'm not stupid, and I don't think most of you are either. This is all grade A garbage. This is cover your ass time, Chris Ballard and Steichen, because let me tell you something. Steichen is not safe, and I'm telling you this. If Ballard gets fired, there is no guarantee that the GM sticks with Steichen. Zero guarantee. Because in my book, the way I would handle it, and most normal owners would handle it, and obviously we're not in a normal owner situation, but you bring in a new GM, you allow him to bring in his people, and that means head coach. So I use Steichen and Ballard tied to each other. Because if Ballard gets fired, unless you're a complete dysfunctional organization, you shouldn't force a head coach on another GM. You shouldn't do it. We did it with Ballard and Pagano. I hated that. I thought that was dumb. They waited a year, and then they completely, bastardized the hiring of McDaniels to Reich and all the force and flus on Reich. It's been a disaster for a decade. Let's just call it what it is. They don't do anything correctly as in recent years. So Steichen better get his head out of his rear end and start calling plays like he did last year and give this kid a chance to succeed, or there's no guarantees for him either. So that is my thought on the overall situation. And I know the one person, there's always two people, I'm not going to mention them, but they still buy everything that comes out of that building. That they're always in my mentions. No, did you hear what Kurt Warner said? Did you, this is, you don't have to be a rocket scientist for this. Like, I don't care what Kurt Warner said. I don't care. I know this organization. He doesn't. He knows the quarterback position. He doesn't know the way the Indianapolis Colts are run. I do. So, look, the bottom line is AR's our quarterback now, and I'm happy about it. Obviously, I've wanted this all along. I never thought he should have been benched, and I hope he tears it up. But, again, it's just the ending to a complete circus that should have never happened. You're putting so much on this. I mean, all of the accountability for this staff and this regime's failures were put on a 22-year-old kid when he was benched, and he had kept them in every game that he had played. They should have won a lot of those games. He's been 5-5 as a starter, which isn't great, but a lot of guys struggle to win when they're 22 years old, when they have the inexperience that he has. And he was not put in good positions. So I stand by what I believe. I truly, and having known what's going on there, and just knowing the incompetence and dysfunction that is in that organization, I don't buy any of what they're selling. None of it. From the beginning to the end. It was all a circus that never needed to happen. There's, again, no leadership on this team, player-wise. Because, look, there are leaders that lead by example, Quentin Nelson, but there has to be somebody that gets in AR's ear after that Houston game and doesn't allow him to go up to the podium and make that statement. You've got Ballard in the locker room. You've got Steichen in the locker room. You've got JBC in the locker room. You've got the North Turners, Cam Turner in the locker room. Then you have the leadership council or whatever it's called, the captains in the locker room. Nobody said anything to him. There is no leadership on this team, period. Now guys are coming out and talking in the media. Great. That's when you know it's falling apart. Wonderful. Well, now they got, AR back, and hopefully he can go play well. But again, it doesn't solve this the problem that is the dysfunction of the organization. That's still there. That doesn't change because they reinsert AR5 into the starting lineup. It's still a completely dysfunctional organization, and I want to make that clear. I don't care what Kurt Warner said. I don't care what all these guys that around the league that aren't wired into this organization. I don't care what they say because they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to this front office. The one guy that does is Jeff Saturday. And I think that's what this has been this entire time. Cover your ass, period. Ballard and Steichen went to Flacco, not Irsay. Ballard and Steichen went to Flacco trying to save their ass. Because they know if they don't make the playoffs again, especially Ballard, his ass is on the chopping block. And Steichen knows if Ballard's ass is on the chopping block, his ass is on the chopping block. And they saw enough from Joe Flacco, which I can't believe, to make them believe that this guy was going to give them a chance to win in Minnesota and Buffalo and in New York and whatever. But then they saw how wrong they were. They gave him 2 opportunities. He played bad in Minnesota, no red zone opportunities, 6 points. And then even worse in Buffalo, though he scored 20 points, 7 was in garbage time, 13, some of that I think was off turnovers. And listen, he played worse. He turned the ball over a ton. So then they made the decision, look, we're going back to AR for the rest of the year. They can't go back now. He's in for the rest of the year. So that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. But just proves my point. There's no direction. This is all fly by the seat of your pants crap. Because if it wasn't, again, Steichen would have said all of this that he said today in the very beginning. We don't think Anthony is progressing enough. We don't think Anthony is doing all the things he needs to do to prepare himself to be the leader of this football team. And until he does, he's not going to play. The end. You say that right from the rip. And this is all this all this banter and nonsense and talking, none of it ever happens because you told everybody what it is. Anthony knows. The fans know. The team knows. The media knows. Then you don't have to answer any questions about it. When is he going to... Does AR have a chance to play this week? When I think he's done the things he needs to do to be the starter again, he'll start again. We still believe in him, but he's got to show that he can be a professional in every sense of the word. You say that, you move on. Instead, you do this riddle bullshit for 2 weeks, speaking in riddles and word salad, and now, after all this, we believe in him, and now all of it comes out. You do that in the beginning. They're completely botching this. This young man and his development, they're botching it. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. I don't care. You can disagree. I know this organization. I've been locked into it essentially, really, since 2019, 2020. And I've been following it closely my entire life. It ain't good on West 56. And putting him back in the starting lineup doesn't fix the dysfunction in this front office and staff under the front. I mean, Steichen and his staff, it's still all an indictment on all of them. Period. So, yes, I'm very happy that he's getting a chance to play again, and that's why I played the clip at the beginning to remind everybody of how special this kid can be and the things that he can do that no one, maybe one other person can do. And I'm ecstatic that he's back in the lineup, but I had to talk about all the dysfunction that is around this kid because it is affecting his development. I don't care what anybody says. When you have no leadership around a 22-year-old kid, and he's a kid, immature, not arguing that. Very raw, not arguing that either. You have to give him the support system so he understands how important it is. He's 22. You've got vets in there. You've got coaches in there. None of them said anything. Otherwise, this would have happened earlier. They let it get to this point, and the tap out was the reason that they needed to go to Flacco. So that chapter of disaster Colts is over. Now let's see what the rest of the season has in store. As far as AR goes, you guys know how I feel about him. I think he has all the talent in the world and the capability of being a starter in this league. Does that mean he's going to suddenly become a 70% passer, completion percentage passer, and the offense is suddenly going to click and be the greatest thing on turf? Absolutely not. That's probably not going to happen. But what should happen is Steichen should realize, let's simplify the offense. Let's get him in positions to make plays with his legs, and then throw off the running game. You run AR, you run 28, you pull the safeties up, you take shots to Pierce and all that. It's got to be 65-35 run. The thing I want to see down the stretch of this season, obviously I want to see AR improve his everything. I want to see the percentage improve. I want to see his efficiency improve. But I also want to see the coach to his strengths, and I want to see a clear identity developed with this team, and that is simply, for now, running the football. Because that is what this team's strength is when AR is taking the snaps. 5 yards a carry. That is what we average when he's back there. Don't get impatient with it. Do not get impatient. Stay patient. Because at least when you're running the ball, even if you're not scoring, you're keeping the defense off the field. When you're throwing every down and throwing 3 incompletions, that's like 15 seconds and the defense is back on the field. When you're running, at bare minimum, if you run the ball 3 times and get nothing, they're at least off the field for, 2+ minutes? And that's if you don't gain anything. So you have to look at this as a full picture. You have to help the defense. You have to help the kid. You have to help the running game. Why did you pay JT all that money? Run his ass. Run quarterback power with 5 like they do in Philly with Hurts. Run that shit. You can still run RPOs. You can design bootlegs, all kinds of stuff. You can do. There's so much you can do with this kid that we're not doing. In the run, I'm talking about in the run game. This is a run game offense. I think our offensive line blocks run well. They're physical, and I think the more cohesiveness they get, they'll be better in that. Obviously, we have some young guys on the line, but I think both of them are talented and will get better. So that going forward, I want to see an identity. I want to see our quarterback. I want to see our head coach / offensive coordinator show us what he showed us last year when he was out there winning games with a guy like Gardner Minshew, right? He clearly knows how to get the most out of players. Why didn't he do that with AR like he did early on in the season last year? Again, my theory is he's trying to keep him healthy, but that's a failure because health is a part of your evaluation of a player. Always. So I want to, by the end of the year, I want to have more data on this kid so we can do more of an evaluation on what needs to happen going forward to develop him. Because I'm still in on this. I want to see it through. Yes, there's a chance he could bust. We all know that. And everybody tells me that every day. I don't care. Because there's also a chance that he can turn it around. It's been done. But he needs the support from his coach, his teammates, the staff in general, the QB coach, the OC. They've all got to give him more support and help guide him. He hasn't had that here. And he will not succeed without support from his teammates and his coaches. And I mean that in a lot of ways. I mean that in being in his ear, teaching him, telling him what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, coaching him through on how to be a pro NFL franchise quarterback. Now, these guys don't know what that is, but they know what it is to prepare like a professional. Guys like Kenny Moore, Zaire Franklin, Quentin Nelson. Those guys are the guys that need to get in his ear and help him. And then around that, you have your coaching staff who should be completely devoted to finding the best way to help this young man succeed. And that's by play calling, playing to his strengths, not only coaching him hard, but telling him the things he does well, and then coaching the things he does poorly, i.e. sometimes his mechanics are bad, and he really needs to work on that. But I'm not out on him. Does that mean he's not? Again, I'm not saying he's 100% going to be a stud. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is when you draft a guy like this and you know how raw he is, and he's only played 20 games total, college and pro, or whatever it is, it's something close to that. You let it play out. You have to let it play out. You have to give him at least, Christ almighty, bare minimum, a year. A year. And now we start this clock over because next year, it's the same thing. But I need to see if he can play a full season and progress. You stopped his progression or you stopped his ability to go out there and play every game to show at bare minimum that he can stay healthy after the tap out. Health is a part of the evaluation. And again, this team is going nowhere, so we just basically set the timeline back, which was stupid as hell. So again, I'm extremely happy because now at least I have a reason to watch. Because I know at least AR is getting reps and there's a chance he's going to get better. Okay? And at this point, with this organization, that's all you can ask for. I'm shocked they did it. I'm stunned the way they did it. And I'm stunned they came out and said all this stuff that they should have said from the beginning. It makes them look stupid, in my opinion. But that's the Colts. They are stupid. So now somebody, I don't want to miscredit anybody, but somebody was in the locker room today. Maybe it was Nate Atkins, I think, maybe, or somebody else, and basically essentially said it's like night and day. Like there's pep in everybody's step. Everybody's excited again. Obviously, Flacco was the wrong decision. Everybody knows that. The team knows that. The coaches know that. The players know that. So now, hopefully, we'll see a renewed, vigor in the team on Sunday, and they can go out and beat the Jets. Because the Jets are a bad team. They really are. We're not great either, but our defense has played good enough to win its last 3 games. And if we don't turn the ball over 15 times, I think we have a very good chance of winning this. But again, Steichen has to throw out the, we're going to throw it 70% of the time crap if he wants to develop him and give him confidence. Confidence will be gotten if he allows him to play his game, which is running and doing things kind of off script. That's when he's at his best. And allowing Jonathan Taylor to take advantage of AR being back there and running the football. And that's what I want to see. Win or lose the rest of this year, I want to see this team develop an identity behind this offensive line that is run first. Do I love run first offense? No, I don't like it. I would rather throw the ball because I think that what in this day and age is what gives most teams the best chance to win, but not this one. This is a team that's built through offensive line and running game. We paid our running back a ton of money. We paid our O-line a ton of money. And we've got a 22-year-old raw quarterback that's athletic as hell with a big arm. Run the ball to set up the deep shots. That will change the direction of this team, in my opinion, and give Anthony some confidence. Because he's a confident kid, but I don't truly believe he has a lot of confidence in dropping back and firing throws, especially when you're so inconsistent and poor with your mechanics and your completion percentage. Now again, receivers have dropped a shitload of balls for him. There was 3 or 4 touchdowns dropped in the Houston game. He didn't play great in that game, but he also didn't get any help. So teammates got to help him. That's what I mean by support. When he's making good plays, you got to catch the friggin' ball. Whether that's Tyler Goodson in the end zone or Michael Pittman not getting a stupid penalty in the end zone, you got to catch the friggin' ball. Period. So let's see what happens, man. We got what? 4-6, 7 games to go. If off the top of my head, we're at New York, then Detroit, then at New England, then a bye, then at Denver, then I think Tennessee, then at the Giants, and then Jacksonville. To me, the toughest tests will be obviously Detroit and Denver, because Denver has a very good defense. The rest of those games are winnable. So we could get to, I guess, 8 wins, but if he's playing well, then that's not a big deal. Then if he plays well down the stretch and we win 4 out of 6 or whatever, 8 and 9 being 8 and 9 is not nearly as big of a deal if he plays poorly and we win 8 games. Because then you're in purgatory, and if they really don't like AR, which I don't know one way or the other, I truly don't buy anything they say at this point, but if they don't, they could at least be able to, go up and get a quarterback if they suck bad enough, but not going 8 and 9 if AR doesn't play well. So we should all hope that AR plays well and that they run the ball and they develop an identity. So going into next year, they know the identity, and you can draft accordingly. You have the receivers already. I like our receiving core. We need a tight end. I feel like our tight end room needs to be scrubbed, maybe outside of Mo, although I don't want to re-sign him for an insane deal. and the 85. His name is Crabtree. No, is that right? I'm messing up I'm probably messing that up. But 85, I think he's solid. But outside of that, man, we're not getting anything from Will Mallory. Johnny Woods can't stay healthy. We have to add an athletic tight end to this offense. But outside of that, man, I love our offensive line going into next year, and I obviously we need another. I would love the Colts to draft a guy like Caleb Johnson in maybe the second or third round, whenever they can get a running back too that you can legitimately put in the game, and the drop off isn't like, the Grand Canyon. No disrespect, but from Taylor to Sermon, it's a gap that's just too big. So again, I want the identity to be run first with this offense, physical up front. We paid the running back. Let's use him. Let's play AR. Let's use his legs. And let's draft accordingly. Right? We need another running back. We need a tight end, and then we need defense. I think our offensive line is fine. I think our receivers are fine. I like the top four we have, and Doolin being a fifth guy is good. So I'm set on the offense outside of maybe picking up, a guard, maybe for depth. But outside of that, I think this is the offense, and you can certainly run a run-heavy offense and pass off of it with the guys that we have, and give AR a full year next year to develop. And that will be your evaluation going into 2026. And then if you don't feel like he's the guy, then 2026, you take another swing at it. But it's got to be somebody besides Chris Ballard. And again, I don't think there are any changes made. Regardless now, I think it's going to be Ballard and Steichen for one more year. But if it doesn't work, then I think Ballard's contract, is only through 2026. So it's a lot less off the table there, or a lot less payment there. So I just believe it's another year of dysfunction. But I'm happy because this is the right move. It never should have been made. This kid is the future for now. You have to give him a chance to prove whether he is or isn't. We have to be patient. As a fan base, we have to be patient with him. That's what I would preach to anyone listening to this, because again, I've said this from the beginning, and it's very simple. We have a 22-year-old quarterback that hasn't played. He's very raw. He's got to make a lot of improvements. The only way he's going to get better, because he sat all of last year except 4 games. He's not learning anything that way. The only way he's going to improve is to play. The coaches have to put him in the best position to succeed and let him fail if he's going to fail. The way I look at it is he's either going to fail and you need a quarterback and you're going to be picking within range to trade up and get your guy, which is top 10 or you're going to be in the top 5 and you're going to be able to get the guy that you want without trading, right? Or the longer shot scenario, according to everyone in this fan base and all the outside noise, is he learns, develops, and becomes what his potential says he could become, and he is a star and the franchise quarterback of the future, and we have our guy. That is the simplest way I can put it, which is why I never liked the benching to begin with, for about 9,000 different reasons, which I've outlined on this podcast ad nauseum, so you guys already know. So the vibe is different for me now. Now it's about, okay, we got the kid back in there. I want to see how Shane calls his first game. It should be, if we're passing more than we're running, it's a problem. Like 50-50 I could live with, but if it's like 60-40 pass, it's wrong. It's just wrong. You paid the running back all that money, you got the quarterback in his rookie deal, and you have a stout offensive line. Run the damn ball. That's the best way. That gives, talking about giving a team a chance to win, that gives us the best chance to win. Throwing does not give us the best chance to win. Okay? I would like to see him develop, us win some games, and do I think we're going to make the playoffs? No, I don't think we're better than Denver, and I don't think we have any shot against Detroit. But with all that said, man, if this kid starts putting it together, you never know. So, and as bad as the division is and the league is, we're only, one game out of wild card contention, which is insane to me, considering how poorly this team has played on offense. But I still believe wholeheartedly, and I've thought this the entire time, and you guys know this, AR's always given this team the best chance to win. With the completion percentage be damned. If we put the kid in position to succeed, which I've stated all along, is run heavy. Get creative with your run calls, run quarterback power. You can do so much more with what he can do, like with his attributes, than what we have done. Play him. Stop coaching him scared for injury. That's a part of the evaluation, Shane. That is part of the evaluation. We have to know if he can stay healthy. So coach him normally like you did last year when he actually got better. He was balling when he got hurt. And then this year, I don't know what it's just like I don't get it. I don't know what he's done all year. He's been bad all year, Shane has. Call him plays. I don't care what anybody says. I know there are people that watch film and then scream up and down how good Shane is as a coach, and he calls great concepts. Great. He calls great concepts for a guy that can throw the ball consistently with a high completion percentage. He doesn't call a great game for a 22-year-old kid that's clearly not ready to throw the ball that much and should be leaning on the running game to help give him confidence and also allow him to take deep shots off of the run, because it's a lot easier. You're going to pull safeties up, and then you're going to have Pierce and AD and Downs one-on-one with a single high, because they're going to bring that extra safety up in the box to stop our running game. That makes throwing a hell of a lot easier because it's one-on-one. There's no help. There's no net for those players. Why we haven't done that this year, I don't know, but he needs to course correct immediately and do that starting this week. Run the ball. Be physical up front. Work to his strengths. That's all I want to see. If Steichen does that for the rest of the year, I'm fine with him coaching here. I do think he's a bright offensive mind. I do not think he's a great offensive coach, I think he's a good offensive coach. Head coach, he leaves a lot to be desired in the leadership department for me. But I'm fine with keeping him here if he starts to do what he needs to do to A, develop the quarterback, and B, give this team the best chance to win, or A, B, whatever, however you want to number those or letter those. I'm okay with it. Just call the game right. 20 throws a game, 30 runs, whatever, or 25-35. But just look at how, I keep going back to how the Cardinals handle Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a better quarterback, okay? That's not my argument here. But my argument is he's not a great passer. So, or in the, up until this year, he hasn't been a super great passer. He's been more of a, he plays with his legs a lot. He's good off script. That's what I want to see out of AR right now, right? That's what I want to see. And then develop into a better passer as Kyler has. Their offense is run heavy with Connor. We have I love Connor, but we have the better running back. We have the better offensive line. We have good blocking receivers. We have a solid blocking tight end. Let's run the ball. So I guess if I'm going to name this podcast, it'd be AR's back now, run the damn ball. Because that is how this team is going to get better. That's how they're going to win games. That's how we're going to keep our defense off the field. And that's how AR is going to develop at a faster pace by giving him things he's capable of doing as opposed to things that he's not capable of doing. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. You guys should be, I'm really pumped to watch the games now, again, because I think he makes such a big difference as far as future. You at least have that lottery ticket and hope, and I know that's all it is. Again, I'm not guaranteeing this is the guy. I've never said there's a guarantee that this is a guy. I just think the way you handle young quarterbacks is you give them the chance to show you what they are. We haven't done that. He's played 10 games. He very well might be a bust. He very well might fail, but you have to give him the opportunity. He certainly, at his worst right now, gives us a better chance to win than Joe Flacco. That's all you need to know. So the upside is worth the risk. So you play him. It's that simple. And, I look at a situation like Caleb Williams in Chicago. They've done him dirty. They're on the route to. I don't think he's a bust, but they're on their way to David Carring him, because when you get a young quarterback, and we saw this with Luck, he almost died literally in his first 3 years. Got a lacerated spleen. You have to build inside out with a young quarterback. The great thing about our situation as opposed to Chicago is we have a great offensive line and a great running back and solid receivers. Chicago has really good receivers, a decent running back, and no offensive line, which is a recipe to get somebody killed, that is the type of situation where I would actually not play a young quarterback, because the fastest way to ruin a young quarterback is to get him murdered, meaning hit after hit. Then he holds the ball too long, which Caleb is doing now, and he continues to take hits because he's scared to make a mistake, and he's seeing ghosts because he's getting hit so much because they have no O-line. I think Caleb Williams is going to be great when they get him an O-line. It's impossible for a young player as talented as Caleb Williams is to play quarterback with 5 turnstiles as offensive linemen. We saw that with Luck his first year. We had essentially 5 turnstiles or 4 turnstiles and Anthony Costanzo as our offensive line. And he struggled. He didn't play great as far as the numbers go his first year. He still drug that roster to a playoff position, which is still the single most incredible feat I have ever seen by a young quarterback, because he took a beating and he still figured out a way to drag the worst roster, a bottom 5 roster, to the playoffs. That's special. Every year we hear generational talent. Andrew Luck was a generational talent. He really was. I'm not trying to make everybody sad, but those guys are friggin' rare. You have to build inside out. And again, going back to what I'm talking about with AR, is that's been my frigging frustration all along this season with their offense. We have the perfect offense for a young quarterback to develop, and we haven't developed him. We've asked him to do things he's not good at. We have a good offensive line that we've paid a ton of money to, and we've paid a running back a ton of money, right? What do linemen love most? They love to block for the run. Our quarterback is good at running. Our running back is elite when 5 is in the game. Why would you do anything else consistently? It doesn't make sense. So Shane, I hope you clearly listened to my last 3 or 4 ranting podcasts and you made the change. You're welcome. I should be a paid consultant, but I'm glad you made the change. Now, let's see if you can actually coach to his strengths. If you do that, you can save this season, and in that, save this kid. So, I was going to wrap this up like 5 minutes ago, but I just thought about the Caleb Williams situation going on in Chicago and how bad that O-line is and how they're really, honestly, I would bench him. Not bench him. I wouldn't even use that word. I'd say, I'm going to sit you down. You're taking a beating. I want you to just chill, watch the game, and let Tyson Bagent go out there. And then we will get you an offensive line if I have to spend the whole, as Ryan Poles has to, buy the 5 best linemen on the market and trade people. We will get you protected, but you're not protected now, and I'm not going to continue to put you in harm's way. That's what I think the Bears should do. I've been keeping a close eye on it because it's a similar situation to AR, in my opinion, in the sense that, like, the way that's being handled, I don't think is great, and this has not been handled great. The clear difference is AR, Caleb was, people called him a generational talent. I didn't see that personally. I saw a very good young quarterback that can do a lot of special things. But if you don't protect him, there's no shot for any of that. You're going to neuter him to the point where he's scared to do anything, and that's kind of where they're at with him. But again, this is a Colts podcast, so I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, but I like to give people examples of why I think the way I do, why my mentality in that situation is different than the mentality in this one. Because we have a good offensive line that can run block their ass off, and we have an elite, what I consider a top 3 running back with great vision that can make things happen, and we're not leaning on it enough. So going forward, that's what I want to see. Let me know in the comments, how are you guys feeling? Are you confident that Richardson can develop some? Are you confident that Steichen's going to call to his strengths? Are you confident in this team going forward that can win some games? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, you already know my thoughts. But yeah, man, it's a good day as far as people that have rode with AR from the beginning and never jumped ship from him and supported him. And that's me. I'm going to support this kid, until he proves he's not the guy and until there's another quarterback here. And even then after that, I always wish him well. He's not I don't buy it all. I don't buy all this nonsense that he's not a good kid or whatever. He's a, super immature kid or whatever. He's certainly football immature, but I don't think he's a bad person, and I don't think anything that he's done has been out of malice. So I'll always root for him. I think he's a very easy guy to root for. So I'm riding with him. I'm going to ride with him till the wheels fall off, until it's shown he is not the guy. That's how I handle young quarterbacks. You give them a chance to prove to you what they are by playing them. And when they show you, then you accept it and you make your decision. Either he's the guy or he's not. And we simply haven't given him the chance to show that yet. I need more than a 10-game sample size. He's still younger than like all the guys coming out in the draft this year are all older than him, I think. So he's still got time. We can still develop this guy, but you got to make sure you have a support system, a support staff in place to help him become a good pro off the field and on it. That's everybody's responsibility and his. I don't want anybody to think I'm absolving him from responsibility, because I'm not. It starts with him. But he doesn't know any better. These older guys got to help him, and his coaches have to help him more than they've shown that they have done. So with that, I'm excited about Sunday, 1 p.m. from the MetLife, whatever it's called. I was going to say the Meadowlands. It's been a long time, I think 2006, since they played in the Meadowlands. But I'm pumped. 1 o'clock Sunday. Glad it was flexed out of Sunday Night Football. Jesus Christ, that would have been a disgrace. But I'm happy about the game, seeing 5 back in there. Let's get a win, man. Let's get a win for his confidence, for the fan base, for our confidence. The negative vibes are just so heavy. I just want to win a friggin' game. I'm like Jim Mora. Playoffs, I just want to win a game. That's where I'm at. Let's get behind AR when they get back home in Detroit. I hope the crowd really rocks for AR and shows him they got his back and they're riding with him regardless of what happens for the rest of the season. And let's just have some fun watching football again, man, because it has not been fun the last 2 weeks, because it was like watching a car crash into a wall over and over again, an old car at that. So the fun should be back in Indianapolis. The fun plays, hopefully the development. I just want to enjoy football, guys. That's really all I want to do, and hopefully we'll get to do that Sunday, 1 o'clock in New York. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for the support. I've seen a lot of new subscribers. Still not a big channel, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys for the kind words and listening. And even if we disagree, it's always in a respectful manner. And I just love you guys to death, and for supporting not only me, but this the players and AR, seen a lot of support for him. We have great fans. We really do. I truly believe that. They're just fed up. I don't blame the booing. I'm fed up too. I don't necessarily think they're booing the players as much as the fan base was booing Chris Ballard in the front office, honestly. So, and you have every right to do that. And I was with you on Sunday. This team deserved, at least the organization as a whole deserved to be booed, and Irsay needed to hear it. So, appreciate all the fans. I appreciate all the support. I never take it for granted. And hopefully the channel will keep growing and this team will start winning and we can actually have some uplifting, fun podcasts to do as opposed to like all these ranting and raving podcasts when I'm losing my mind, because as entertaining as that is, it's one, not good for my health, and two, means the Colts are not doing something right or doing everything wrong, as in the case here. So let's just get a win, man. One win. I just 1 week at a time. 1-0 this week. A little Frank Reich cliche for you, but let's just win one game. I'll be happy with that. So again, thank you so much, guys, for listening. I will be back maybe for a Q&A, but probably not. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'll see what you got, if anybody has any questions on Twitter. But you can follow me at @fortheculture_J, and that's culture with an O, not a U. On X, if you guys want to, follow me on there. That's all I got. So I hope everybody's feeling good, has a great rest of the day, and has a great week and weekend. And I will talk to you after the Colts game Sunday in New York.